to do that. Hey guys, I think I forgot to do that. Yep, that's what I knew. Okay, welcome everybody. We are excited to be here tonight. As you can see, it's just me and my face. Give me 1 second, and we will bring on our guests. All right. And we are live. All right, we want everybody to join in and share and do all the things. We're excited that you're here tonight. And we are about to be live with Miss Francheca Ballard. I'm so excited that we get to meet with her tonight. And she will be sharing with us about the nurtured child. I think that when I went live, the caption on the video didn't update. So if you see it saying something else, it will be changed. I do apologize. But do jump in and share because we're about to talk about some good stuff tonight. As you can see, I am on here by myself. I do not have my friend with me tonight. Miss Elijah is nurturing her. Okay, she is taking full advantage of the title of our summit, Nurture You, and she will be taking care of herself tonight. If you can, send your prayers that direction, and as she nurtures herself tonight, and it's going to be a good night tonight. We have again Miss Francheca Ballard, and she's going to chat with us tonight about the nurtured child. If you have never heard of us, you don't know what we're doing, you don't know why my face is on your camera, why my face is showing up in your feed tonight. My name is Monique Darden, and I am one of the co-hosts of the Nurture You Summit. And the Nurture You Summit is on March 22nd in Gary, Indiana, and we will be discussing so many different things that day. We have so many qualified professionals that are going to be there. It's a mental health summit, so we'll be talking about our faith, our mental health, and bridging those two things. We will be talking about how to nurture our bodies, how to nurture our time, how to nurture our children, how to nurture our inner child, how to nurture our heart, how to nurture our soul, how to nurture our spirit. We're going to be talking about our whole being and how we can nurture that part of us or nurture ourselves as a whole person on March 22nd. And so we're super excited that we have Miss Francheca tonight, and she's going to share with us a lot about that. If you have not registered for the Nurture You Summit, you want to do that ASAP. Get your tickets because it's going to be an incredible time. We will be tickets are still on sale right now at nurtureyousummit.eventbrite.com. We also have a giveaway that's happening currently, and you want to be a part of that. If you know somebody or you are that somebody who is struggling to, get to the summit, but you want to be there and you haven't been able to get your ticket for whatever the reason might be, we have a few tickets that we have been blessed with because of our amazing sponsors. Last week we went live, and I'm telling you, people just started buying tickets for other people. So we have some tickets to give away for the summit. And if that is you and you want to be a part of that, please go to my page. Look down on my page and you'll see some footage. You'll see some photos, some graphics that talk about the giveaway and what you have to do to be eligible for the giveaway for the tickets. It's really simple. I'm sure you have to share the post, tag a friend, and just let us know you want to be there, and we will put your name in the pot for the chance to be a winner for the ticket for the Nurture You Summit. Again, Gary, Indiana, March 22nd, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's an all-day event. We're having breakfast. That's included in the registration. We're having lunch. That's included in the registration. And all of these qualified speakers that will be there to share with us on various topics about how to nurture ourselves. So you want to make sure that whatever you do, block out March 22nd on your calendar so that we are able to meet you, engage with you, have a good time with you, and most of all, just be nurtured together by the Spirit of God, by one another in community, and get some resources on what to do after the summit is over. That's the real key. When the summit is over, what do I do now? How do I carry what I learned in the room into my everyday life? And so we're going to be giving you all of those tools, all of those opportunities. So make sure that you carve out the time, March 22nd, Saturday, March 22nd, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. All right. So without further delay, I am excited tonight because we are about to have Miss Ballard come and talk to us about the nurtured child, and she's about to pour. I want you to get your expectation up because she's about to pour into us. My conversations with her up to this point have been so beautiful, have been just, it feels like a hug when I talk to her. And so I am excited to share her with you guys tonight. And she's just going to give you a taste of what it's going to look like at the Nurture You Summit. So you want to make sure that you go ahead and tune in tonight and then prepare yourself. So here we are. Let me pull her in. Hey, Miss Francheca.
Hey, how are
So
you?
good. I'm so good. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited about this summit. I'm sure it's going to be a blessing to the city of Gary, and praying that all the women and whoever wants to participate, please come and be a part of this awesome
I'm
event that's
telling
going to
you,
take
it's
place.
going to be something that I don't even know how to describe how I feel when I think about it. And when I just think about what the room is going to feel like, going to look like, it's so hard for me to like explain the
Mhm.
excitement, the expectation, and all that I feel when I think about
Yeah,
what's possible for that room on that night with all of us in there together.
yeah,
What? It's gonna be
I
something.
know. It's going to be something, and trust me, they don't
They
want to miss
don't
it.
want to miss it. They don't want to miss it. So, we have talked about so many different things with our other speakers. We have talked about Elijah says hi, Miss Ballard.
Hey,
We
Elijah. Get well, get
please. And
well.
so we have talked to a lot of different all of our speakers. You are our last one tonight as we prepare for
Woo!
next week. And we've talked
Yeah.
about how to nurture our time with Miss Nicole Roan. We talked about how to nurture our hearts with Anicia Lumpkin. She talked about grief. We talked about how to nurture our bodies with Miss Renelle Allen, and the last week was something special,
Mhm.
and so it was very good to talk to her. And tonight we're talking with you about how to nurture the child, and this conversation is twofold. We're going to talk about how to nurture
Mhm.
our own inner child and what that looks like. That's deep stuff
Mhm.
already. And then we're
Yeah,
going to
it
also
is.
talk to our parents that might be watching or tuning in, or that will tune in at a later time, about what it is to nurture their children if they're dealing with any divergence, right? And so you will be able
Yeah.
to share with us tonight on those topics. But before we get into the depths of things, tell us who you are, what you do, and why you do
Okay.
it.
Okay, so I am Francesca Ballard. I am a native of Gary, so I'm so happy that you are bringing this summit to my city, where our city. Um, and I am the owner and proprietor of Bright Path Support Services. We are a mental health and substance abuse counseling agency. We service Lake County, Indiana at this time, but we will be able to service the state of Indiana. We have been in existence now for 6 years. I have been in the mental health field for more than 20 years now. So Bright Path was birthed in 2019, and we have been going forth ever since, strong, growing. We have a personal care assistance program that we just added for our seniors, assisting seniors and individuals in their home who may be disabled as well, with just some attendant care,
Wow.
companion care, whatever needs that need to be met for them. So we're excited about that program as well. We provide services to the entire family, not just the child, but also the caregivers, the parents, the aunts, the grandmothers, the
Okay.
uncles, whomever may be the caregiver. We provide support to them, to the school
Yeah.
systems. We provide support because whenever it something affects one person in the family, it affects the entire family. So we do want to make sure that we support the entire family. So yeah, that's Bright Path. A little bit about Bright Path.
Wow. I don't think I realized. I don't think I knew about like the senior care. I don't know that I picked up on that
Hmm.
at all. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's something new we just added a few months ago. So that's in addition to the mental health and substance
Okay, and you
abuse.
mentioned um the schools. You guys go into the schools, or are you partnered with certain schools,
Yes.
or partnered with the district? How's that work?
Yeah, so we do partner with some schools, right? We have partnered with Beveridge Elementary School. We've partnered with Williams Elementary School in Gary. We've partnered with Theo Bowman in Gary. We do have students um, that may be on the verge of possibly being suspended from school. So they do have tier levels to where they give the parents and the students support to try not to get to a point to where the child has to be removed from the school. So we go into the school setting and provide that service to the students while they're in that setting. We go into the classrooms, sit in the classrooms with the students. We provide supports to the teachers in the school system and in the classroom with them as well. So, like I said, it's just it's a whole family that we gather to
Wow,
provide the
that's
support to.
amazing. Because you said a very key thing. It's not just a student that we need to cater to or
Mhm.
serve. That entire family unit is going to need support when it comes to their
Mhm.
student, whatever's going on with that student. That's just like the center. There's lots of
Correct.
things connected, like a web to that
Yeah.
student.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. When a child is going through something behavioral, it affects the entire household. Siblings, they are affected too because the parents may be focused on um, making sure that they're managing that behavior with the child. But they're leaving out that other child that's in the home who may not always get the same attention because this other child over here, they have this behavior, so the parents always focus on that. So it's the same thing in the classroom as well. Parents and um teachers, they have a classroom full of 30 students, which is a lot for one
Yeah.
teacher to have with no assistance. um, and they need that extra help. So when they have a child that maybe experience some type of behavior issues, it disrupts the
Yeah.
academic time. So it's hard for them. They have a child that wants to learn, but on the other hand, little Jamie over here, is standing on top of his desk, and you're trying to teach little Shay Shay over here, what's one plus
Yeah.
one, and it's difficult. So they need that extra assistance. So it affects everyone within the home as well as in the classroom.
Whew, I know if the whole city of Gary just heard you talk about that right there, the entire city would say, "What do we need to do to get bright paths in our, in every school, because I work in a school. I work in a high school. I'm a school counselor, and
Mhm.
you know, little Johnny stands on desk in high school too. So, you know, and
Yes.
likely it's because little Johnny was not attended to or served well in elementary school. And was not supported in
Mhm.
elementary school, and it's a lot to handle. You know what I mean? And so by the time they're 15
Mhm. It
and
is.
16, and they're still just standing on tables, and they still trying to learn how to, in the classroom, it's rough. And so I hear a lot of the time, they're on the walkie, we need a student and such and such, you know what
Yeah.
I mean, because this is still happening even as we get into the high school
Yeah.
space. So tell me this.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We have students as young as 5 years old
Yeah.
in kindergarten. So it starts there. If you don't address the issue at a young age, like you said, when they get to high school, they're gonna still have that same behavior. When they get to college, it's gonna be the same behavior. They're not gonna know how to process those feelings of anger or anxiety or whatever they may be feeling at that time, because they've never had the correct tools to be able to process those
So tell me,
feelings.
like, well, since we're here now on the school side of things, what could be some signs that
Mhm.
a child might be dealing with something other than, we're not expecting every kid to be able to sit down prim and proper and sit
Mhm.
all day and no, no, not that. Just what are the
Mhm.
signs that you think that you've seen when it comes to the kids, that maybe parents are like, I don't know, I think something might be up, or they said, I know something up, but I don't know what it is. But something up because they keep calling me, they keep me
Yeah.
suspended, something is wrong. um what are some of those signs?
Yeah. Sometimes they could bully other students. They may find that their behavior is changing. They're being disruptive. Um, Avoidance of certain situations. Sometimes because a child is not able to understand the schoolwork, they become disruptive. So when they don't understand and they may be embarrassed to say, hey, I don't understand, they're scared to raise their hand because they feel like the other students are going to talk about them, they become disruptive in
Yeah.
the classroom. Um, Lack of activity. They don't want to do certain things that they may have enjoyed
Mhm.
before. Um, those are a few signs. They may be, like I said, bullying other students. They may bully their siblings as well. Um, Complaining, physical complaints about maybe headaches or stomach aches, may be something that may show up in anxiety. You know, not always saying that they may not have a stomach ache, but your child doesn't have a stomach ache every
Yeah,
single day. So that's something to
that's
look
something,
at.
honestly, when I thought about this topic, when I thought about what we would discuss, when I thought about what this could look like, that is the exact example that came to my mind. The children that was like, I have a
Wow.
stomach
Yeah.
ache, or my stomach hurts every day, or every Friday,
Yeah.
or, you know, before a
Yeah.
test, or, you know, there's something, but all the
Mhm.
parent is hearing when they get their children up in the morning is, Mom, I don't, my stomach, I don't. And so it sounds whiny and like a
Mhm.
nuisance and all those things. When in actuality, this child really might be dealing with some discomfort in his or her body as a
Mhm.
result of anxiety for whatever reason. And I don't know that parents
Mhm.
often have the patience. I mean, when they're trying to get all these other kids ready, they're trying to get themselves ready for work, they're trying to do,
Yep.
all these, make
Mhm.
breakfast, get lunches, all these things. They really don't have.
A million things
Yes,
going
and they don't have
on.
the bandwidth to say, to stop with this one child and say, what's causing
Mhm.
your stomach to hurt? What are you thinking about? What are you, in none of those things. They just go, you'll be all right. If you get to school
Mhm.
and the nurse call me, then we'll deal with that then. And it's like, then the
Yep.
child feels dismissed.
Yeah, because they already have their own stressors going
Right.
on.
So
Parents, they already have right. Go
I
ahead.
was
I'm
just gonna
sorry, I didn't
say,
mean to
so
interrupt.
to that point, what advice or what what could you offer to the parents in that space that will allow them to like know what to do or how to move or it's a lot going on. What do I do?
So, parents should always, and I want to first put this there because parents may not know what to look for because they may be experiencing the same
All
thing.
right.
So this may be a
Yeah.
norm. It may be a norm for them, so they don't know to, man, this is, this is something I noticed the same thing is going on when I was a kid, or I see the same things happening with me. It's the norm. So like you said, you'll be okay when you get to school. Let the nurse call me. So it's avoid, they avoid it. So parents need to have to be more aware of what's going on with their child. When you, and I know it's hard for some parents because some parents have multiple children and they are the only parent that's in the
Right.
household. So you have to put in the work to make sure that your child is being heard and
Yeah.
being seen. Okay. It's difficult. It's easier said than done. But sometimes as parents, we have to do a sacrifice ourselves to make sure that our children are seen and are heard. Sometimes you may have to sit at the dinner table while you're having dinner with your family. Go around the table, ask everybody, how was your day? What's going on? Give me one thing that happened good today to you. Do positive reinforcement with your child. If you see that your child is having these issues still, don't be afraid to speak to someone, a professional. Speak to their doctor about what's going on. Call a mental health professional. Hey, I don't know. I think something may be going on with my child. Do you think you guys can give some assessment to my child? Help me figure out maybe wrong. But don't be afraid and don't be ashamed as well. It's nothing wrong with seeking help.
Yeah, and I
That shows
wanna
strength.
that's the key. You said it shows strength. Seeking help shows strength. And I
Hmm.
wanna to kind of
Yes.
dive in a little deeper into that part of the conversation because there are some parents out there that
Hmm.
are saying, I don't want them folks in my business. I don't want them folks to know what's going on in my household. They're gonna label my child. They're gonna put my kid on no medication and just send them
Hmm.
on their way. I don't want that to happen. They may even be dealing with some other things within their household that may be contributing to
Hmm.
the behavior that's being displayed at school or
Hmm.
elsewhere. But they're struggling because they think that telling one thing or having a discussion about one thing may open a can of worms for everything else
Hmm.
that they may be going that they may be dealing with at that time, what's going on in their households. Case in point, I
Hmm.
see kids, I've seen kids all the time where their households are struggling when it comes to finances. Um, they may have some
Hmm.
drug abuse going on at home. They may have some domestic violence at home.
Hmm.
The parents may actually work nights,
Hmm.
so they're at home by themselves. The oldest kid is 10 and
Hmm.
taking care of everybody else,
Hmm.
dinner and all this other stuff. And so when I go and I say my child is
Yep.
dealing with this, I'm afraid now that this is going to become a DHS, CPS, whatever you call it in your area situation. Now we got a
Yeah.
case. And I wasn't trying to get a case. I was
Hmm.
just trying to keep my child from standing on tables while his teacher's trying to teach. So what do you say to that parent?
Yeah. So one thing our community, our Black community, has to understand that it's okay to talk to someone. Speaking to a therapist or a counselor, we have to get that stigma out of our head that means you're crazy. um you don't, whatever happens in our house, leave it in our house. Because they, big demons grow up to be big, little demons grow up to be big demons. Okay. So we have to address those issues. It's generational. Sometimes great grandma did it, grandma did it, my mama did it, now it's in my home. It's a generational curse. So you may have to be the one to break that generational curse. Okay. We need to make sure that we do address that. Um, Don't be afraid when you have to call somebody. Don't be embarrassed. Not everything is warranted for a DCS phone call, because Jamie is standing on top of the desk in the classroom. We need to know why Jamie is having those behaviors in the classroom. Now, if that is some things going on in the home that needs to be addressed, then yes, you may need to participate and may need to address what issues that you may be having. Sometimes, what's going on with Jamie is because, like you said before, mom is working two jobs. She has multiple children. She's a single parent. There may be domestic violence going on in the home that mom does not want anybody to know about. But Jamie is seeing all of this going on in the home and is acting out because of those issues that's going on. So sometimes, you know, getting Jamie is help could be a blessing to you as well, because it may bring you out of those issues that you may be afraid to address. Sometimes a blessing can come from somebody else's blessing. Your blessing can come from somebody else's blessing. So getting Jamie to help can help you as well. You got to, like I said, it's strength in seeking help. It's not a weakness.
That's exactly right. I think that it takes a professional to come on to a space like this and say that kind of thing, in a public space. This is not DHS. This is not your school. This is not like this space is not that. So I'm able to tell you ahead of time on the front end, what it is to expect when you have to reach out and make those calls. And I mean, to be honest, we're talking about the nurtured child, and the child that may be dealing with some things at the school level may be stemming from what's happening in the familial space. And so if that's what's taking place, like you said a moment ago, what we then have to realize is that sometimes it's generational, and parents do not all the time want to deal with what they have going on in order to remedy what is going on with their children in the school space. And so they know me going to, deal with whatever's going on with little Jamie is going to have to make some changes in my home and in my space. And what does that mean for me? And so what does your organization or organizations like yours provide, maybe even to the parents in that, or in that space?
So we, like I said, we provide support to the entire family, not just the child, siblings, any caregivers that may be in the home. We not only, when we provide services to the child, we also speak with the parents on their own as well. So we do an assessment with the family, with the child as well, with the parent as well, I'm sorry, to see what has the parent experienced growing up. Sometimes even during the pregnancy with the child, what was going on with the parent during pregnancy? Okay, because that still affects the child, even though you're carrying that baby in you. Whatever you're doing to your body during pregnancy affects the child after birth.
That is so good.
Okay, so
that's so good.
Parents needs to realize, whatever trauma you're putting on your body during pregnancy, that trauma is going to show up in that child after birth. So that's something parents need to realize as well. When we're talking to the parent, we get a history of the parent as well, background. What was your upbringing like? What was your household like? Did you ever notice or experience any physical or mental or any type of verbal abuse growing up? Did you ever experience any domestic violence in the home growing up? Was there any substance abuse going on in the home? Do you have any mental illness in your family that you know of, with any siblings or any grandparents or parents or aunts or uncles, immediate family members? Those are some things that we ask the parents as well, because sometimes they don't realize Jamie is acting up because, oh, my cousin, they have ADHD. So this may be the reason why my child may be experiencing it, because it is in my DNA. Or they may have depression because my grandmother she dealt with depression, so it's in my DNA. I may have some of those symptoms that may come up the same as my grandmother did. Grandma may have been able to be a functional depressed person, because even though she was depressed at times, she still made sure that we had Sunday dinner, made sure granddad had whatever he needed at all times, but doesn't mean that she was always happy and that she always cared for herself, because she was able to take care of everyone else. So some things we've not always have not always been able to recognize from our other family members. But now the generation we have now, they're actually more verbal about what's going on, because social media has opened this up now to where celebrities are talking more about their mental health. So that's why, parents, you can't hide it. Something going on, you can't hide it. You can't take kids away from social media, because social media is everywhere. So make sure that you address those issues with your children, and also with yourselves, because once you take care of yourself, you're going to always be a better parent for your children.
Ooh, you have said seven mouthfuls in the last couple of minutes, because there is a harsh reality that you pointed out about our grandparents, about our great grandparents. You know, um, they
Mm-hmm.
dealt with stuff, but they dealt with it differently than it's manifesting
Mm-hmm.
now. It was a taboo topic in the
Mm-hmm.
60s, 50s, 40s, 30s, right?
Yeah.
In 2025, it's
Yeah.
not taboo anymore. And 2025, it's
Mm-hmm.
probably overused. you know, my mental health, my mental health, my mental health, my mental health,
Yes.
everything is my mental health, now. And so these, like, you're right, these kids are
Mm-hmm.
hearing it everywhere. And that's not to, downplay that the reality of mental illness and the things that some of our kids might be dealing with, whether that is depression or ADHD or anxiety, ADD, all these
Mm-hmm.
letters, that we have yes, to
Acronyms.
describe what it is that we're
Mm-hmm.
dealing with. And I don't think that it's still not talked about enough. And so my question that I want to ask about the with the parent and the child, what if a
Mm-hmm.
parent is saying, like, oh, I know y'all just gonna put my child on medication, that's why I want to take them to no doctor. What encouragement can you give to those people?
So I always tell every parent that I have, I was never an advocate always about medication. When I first started, I used to be like, oh, they want to put every child on medication. Every child does not need medication. And that's true. Every child does not need medication. They just need better coping skills. But I have, after being in the field for so long and working with such an array of different personalities with our children and characteristics and behaviors with children as well as adults, because some adults, they get diagnosed at a late age and need to be on medication, which is
Bye.
totally fine. It is fine to be 40 years old and you're just now getting diagnosed with ADHD and you need to be on meds. That's okay, because believe me, your life will be so much
Oh
better.
yeah.
Um, it's okay. Yes, it's okay for your child to need medication. Yeah, and I always say it's like a diabetic that may
Yep.
need insulin. You know, it helps them live better. It helps
Yep.
regulate their sugar or their diabetes so that they can live a
Yep.
longer life. Well, the same way with medication that your child may need for whatever the mental health issue may be. It helps balance them out. It helps their behavior. They won't always feel sad. They won't always feel anxious. They won't always be angry. They won't always be disruptive. That helps balance them out. So that's like a little example there to use. What do you do when you have a headache? Oh, I take medication. Why do you take medication when you have a headache? Because it stops my head from hurting. It makes me feel better. The same way with medication for the mental health issue. The same
Yeah,
way.
I 100% agree. I was 33, I think, when I was diagnosed with a bipolar disorder
Hmm.
type 2. And it explained my whole life to me. Like honestly, at that point, I was like, like so much made sense. Before
Yeah.
that, I was just like, what is wrong with me? Like, what is going on? Like I'm
Mhm.
up, I'm down, I don't know, and I had no frame of reference for
Mhm.
what I was dealing with. And then I started to study, as a get a master's in
Mhm.
professional counseling. You start to see yourself sometimes on them pages. You're like, oh, there it is. And so I ended up, getting my
Yeah.
diagnosis a lot later in life. And people that say, did you pray about that medication? Do you know if that's what you're supposed to do? Do we don't need no medication. We just need to pray. It's like I prayed and the Lord told me to go to the doctor. And that's what I did. And so, and this is
Yes. And it is okay to have Jesus
correct.
and medication. That's why God created us.
Correct. It's okay.
If we didn't need to be around, he would not have created
Correct.
us. Okay? It is okay.
Yeah.
Yes, you pray. Pray, absolutely. Pray over everything that you do in life. Everything. Pray about it. But God gives you like he gives you the discernment to know what you should do and what shouldn't do.
Yeah, medication is a tool. It is a tool for me to
Mhm.
get through whatever I need to get through. And I tell people all the time, I joke about it all the
Yeah.
time. I say, oh, you want me to take this pill? Let me tell you something. You want me to. You don't know you want me to, but
Because you see a
yes.
difference.
And so, like any,
And we've had parents to where there we have an assessment tool that we have parents complete
mm,
for their child before they begin the
yeah.
services with us, and they're checking it off, and they said, "Man, I was checking this off for my child, and I see some of the same symptoms. I think I may need to talk
Yep.
to somebody too." Yes, it's
Yep.
okay.
Yep. And it's places like Bright Path that allows for everybody to be heard, everybody to be seen, everybody to be
Mhm.
understood, no matter what stage of life you're in. So, do you
Mhm.
guys serve like if I just came in and I needed services, I don't have no kids on,
Mhm.
could you just serve me?
Yes. So we don't
Okay.
just serve children; we serve adults as well. Um, You don't have to have children. You don't have to have any, even if you don't feel like you don't have anyone to support in your family, we're always
Okay.
here to support. We are 24-hour service. We meet you where you are. Wherever you are, we meet you there. If you want to meet virtually, if you want to meet in the office, you want to meet in the park, you want to go to McDonald's and eat, you want to go out to Outbacks and have dinner and talk, wherever you feel comfortable, that's
Did
where
you
we
say
meet you there.
24-hour
Um,
service? Is that what you said?
24 hours. So we have a 24-hour hotline. So someone calls at midnight and say, "Hey, I need some help. Can somebody direct me to somewhere to go?" I'll answer.
Okay.
It's me. I answer and say, "Hey, okay, we either direct them to
Yeah.
911, um, or we talk to them and we make an appointment for them to see a counselor."
Wow. That's incredible. That's incredible. And I think that the type of services you all offer are so needed in the area that you guys are servicing. And I
Mhm.
think that people just need to know that y'all are out there. There is somebody out there that
Yeah.
hears you, that wants to hear you, that wants to know you, that wants
Mhm.
to show up for
Yeah.
you. So if you're listening and you're just tuning in to tonight's live, we're talking with Miss Francesca Ballard about Bright Path Support Services. Is that correct? Did I say it right? Yes.
That is correct.
Bright
That's
Path Support
correct.
Services, and she owns the whole thing, and she's running it, and her and her team are running it, and everything that they're offering to the city of Gary and the Lake County area is 24-hour availability to get resources. I hope y'all are hearing this because this is
Mhm.
incredible to be able to have a place that they can call at any hour to say, I'm struggling and I need a resource, and you'll be able to show up for them in that
Mhm.
capacity. If you are just tuning in and you are new here, Welcome. And we are excited to share with you about the Nurture You Summit, which will be held on March 22nd in Gary, Indiana. And our tickets are still available. So you can go on the website, nurtureyousummit.eventbrite.com, and be able to register for the summit. The ticket is only $35. And guess what? That includes breakfast, that includes lunch, and that includes all of these wonderful speakers that are going to come and talk with us and share with us from their lane of expertise. This conversation right here and so much more is going to be available to you on March 22nd in Gary, Indiana, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. We're going to be there all day, just basking in the opportunity of nurturing ourselves and being refilled and refueled and re-energized. We're going to have information. So much healing is going to take place, so much emotional healing, so much mental healing, so much spiritual healing is going to take place on March 22nd. And you do not want to miss out on hearing more from Miss Francheca Ballard and all of the other speakers that are going to be present. I'll be there and I'll be speaking. Also, Miss Elijah Mayo is going to be there. She has several parts to play. There are so many other things and so many other speakers that are going to be there sharing with us that evening. So you want to make sure you grab your tickets at nurtureyousummit.eventbrite.com. Miss Ballard, I have another question. What I guess could be we talked a little bit about it, but what are some of the misconceptions that people have about childhood mental health?
Yeah, so sometimes, parents say, oh, they'll grow out of it. There's nothing wrong with them. They'll grow out of it. They're too young. It's the terrible twos. Terrible twos turn into terrible 12. you know, um, so that's not it. It's just a phase. You know, it's just a phase they're going through right now. It won't always last like this. At 2 years old, you need to address those issues. At 2 years old, when your child is throwing things and falling out, they still need to be addressed. There still need to be consequences. Take the tablet away from them, take their favorite toy away from them, have them sit down. It's okay to have your 2-year-old sit down for a minute. They're okay. They're going to cry, yes, because you're telling them no. But guess what they're going to stop doing? Crying. But they have to understand that there are consequences to your actions. Knowing that, the behavior can grow into a bigger behavior, even though it starts off small, they get bigger. So addressing it and not just thinking it's going to go away.
Yeah. My favorite part is terrible twos turning into terrible 12s. And because that is so true. It is so true. It happens. And you have to, I heard someone say this recently, and I could not agree more. You're teaching your children how to build resilience, right? At an early age. It's not going to break them in half to allow them to cry if they're upset. They're going to be okay. We cry when we're upset too. We're going to be okay. It's not the end of the world because we're displaying emotion because we were told no, or we were told, not right now, or not yet, or anything. And I think this is just my opinion. I used to be the kind of person who would say, don't tell your child no, find a way to say no that's just not no. Maybe you could say not now, or you can't do this, but you can do this, present the options. And I'm okay with all of those things too. But as I've gotten
and that's perfectly fine too.
As I've gotten older and gone to school and all these things, I have learned it's really okay to just say no to your children. It's okay for them to hear no, because guess what? You're not raising children. My mother said this to us all the time. Basically what you just said, terrible 2 turned into terrible 12. She said, I'm not raising children. I'm raising adults. I'm raising people that have to be functional in society. And society is not always going to find a nice way to tell you no, or a nice way to say, to say no, or
Mhm.
you're not going to be hired for this, or we chose a different candidate, or
Mhm.
and you, if every time you hear the word no because you were deprived of it your whole life, you start to fall apart, that's
Yeah.
not building resilience or maturity, emotional intelligence, or any of those things.
Mhm.
To hear no, it's going to be okay.
Yeah. Because sometimes no is good for
Yeah.
you. No is not always
Right.
negative. No is something could be greater, something greater
Right.
coming. So that no could be a yes next to something else that's bigger than you can ever imagine. So it's okay. I see somebody in the chat said no is healthy. No is
Yes.
absolutely healthy. Because first of all, no is a complete
Period.
sentence. No is just right. No is period. No, that's it. But if you tell me no, even as an adult, if I hear the word no for something, I may not get that job. I may have not gotten that job. So what do I need to do that better myself to make sure that next time that no becomes a yes? You may get 10 no's, but that 11th may be a yes. So it's okay. I mentioned about the 2-year-old. I have a 2-year-old niece and she going through the terrible twos. But she hears no frequently because she's throwing things, she's having a tantrum because they don't know how to communicate well. They don't know how to communicate yet. So that's how they communicate. But as they grow, you have to teach them how to properly communicate, how to use their words, because that's what we do. We tell her, use your words, tell us exactly what you want, because they understand fully. And that's another thing parents have a misconception about with children, especially at a young age. They don't understand. They don't know what they're doing. Yes, children fully understand what's going on. Okay. Don't think your child does not know what's going on because they're 4 and you're 44 and you don't understand. What that 4-year old knows, where probably knows way more than what you know at 44, and understands more, unfortunately, because of the society has
Yeah.
for them now. Um, so at 2 years old, no helps them grow and be able to address things, or to process their behaviors better. So when they become 12, when they hear the word no, they're not throwing a chair at the teacher in the classroom because
That's
teacher told
true.
them no. They're not punching a hole in your wall at home because you
That's
told
right.
them no.
That's so good. I hear people say all the time that behavior is communication. Sometimes what we
Mm-hmm.
see at the school level, um, when you see a child behaving a certain way, they're trying to tell you something. And it's important for
Mm-hmm.
us as adults to have some maturity, some emotional stability, some emotional intelligence, to not meet them at the level emotionally that they're at. Right? We don't, and what I mean by that
Mm-hmm.
is we don't just, they get to throwing stuff and yelling and screaming, so we start yelling and screaming and throwing stuff. It's like we're
Yeah,
modeling behavior.
because they just react.
We're
Mm-hmm.
modeling behavior. And a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
stuff that we see our kids doing, they saw it somewhere. And
And I'm glad you said that. And I'm glad you say that because a lot of times with our younger kids that we provide services to, we do play therapy with them. So watching them act out and play what they may have seen in art, drawing pictures, playing games. Um, those are some behaviors that you need to pay attention to. Even as parents, when parents see their children playing in their room, um, pay attention to how they play. Don't always let them know that you're there watching them, but just watch them and see what's going on during their playtime, because they may be reacting or doing a reenactment of what they've heard or what they've seen. May not always be at home, but something they've seen on TV. We have to also be aware of what our children are watching on TV, what they're watching on these phones, on these tablets, on YouTube. You have to really be careful what we're putting, what spirit we're putting into our
it is
children.
I told a student today, the way to, no, yesterday, the way to your innermost being, we call it our soul, right? But the way, the
Mm-hmm.
gateway to your innermost being is through what you watch, what you hear. Those are the two main things,
Mm-hmm.
but also what you
Yeah.
say. The Bible tells us it's not what goes in a
Mm-hmm.
man that defiles him. It's what comes
Mm-hmm.
out. And so we have to be very, very careful what we say, what we see, and what we hear. And not just as adults, but we have to do that with our kids. It's not too much to not
Mm-hmm.
let them watch certain things. It's not too much,
Mm-hmm.
it's not always that it's just terrible and bad. They're not emotionally at a place where they're able to house that kind of information. They don't know what to do with that. So
Mm-hmm.
they don't
They
know
don't know
what
what
to
to
do
do
with
with
that.
it.
So when we're watching, we think we're innocently watching, something with shooting or killing or a whole lot of cussing, and it don't phase. We think it doesn't phase us, or it really may not, because we could watch something and it don't really just mess with us like that. But
Mm-hmm.
our children, on the other hand, they're still learning. Their minds are still, everything they receive in their minds.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have always the
Mm-hmm.
capacity to compartmentalize that information. They're not supposed to yet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Right, because they're
right,
little sponges. You have to understand, like a sponge absorbs stuff. So that's what children, they absorb everything and their surrounding. And parents have to, realize that they're absorbing everything that's going on
right,
around
right.
them.
Hey, Miss Nicole, good to see you. Hey Candice, good to see you. Hey Jerica, good to see you. It's a lot of y'all on here tonight. And I didn't know y'all were here. Um, oh, your sister's here. Hey, good to see you. Um,
Yes.
yes, that is exactly the truth. The sponges, they're sponges, and they take in whatever is in its path. And so we have to be so careful
Mm-hmm.
with the environment that we create. I used to say this all the time. I really haven't had the opportunity to say it a lot lately, but I used to say this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
The sound that you create in your childhood or in your home will resound long after you're gone, which basically what everybody says,
Mm-hmm.
in our schooling and things like that, is basically, which whatever you are offering to your kids now becomes their inner voice. It becomes the inner dialogue is
Mm-hmm.
the parent. And so
Mm-hmm.
to segue, that's a great segue into the us nurturing our own inner child as adults, because
Mm-hmm.
I can be honest and
Mm-hmm.
say that I think I posted this a couple of weeks ago, that my household for me didn't necessarily feel like, it was, my mother was stressed, okay, quite a bit. um and I felt that stress in my body often. I was very empathetic. I could feel the energy in the house, and I embodied whatever was going on in the house at
Mm-hmm.
that time. And so it
Mm-hmm.
manifested with me and my grades being terrible, because my mind was not in the book, my mind was not in the classroom, my mind was not focused on what was going on at school. My mind was repeating and rehearsing anything that I may have heard in the house. Last time I got yelled
Mm-hmm.
at, last time I got a whooping, or whatever it
Mm-hmm.
was, my mind is repeating those things. And because I spend, you spend a lot of your time at home with your people or at school, mostly at school, but and even at
Mm-hmm.
school, getting
Right.
bullied, being talked about, kids are cruel sometimes. And those negative
Yes, they
things,
are.
we are wired to make meaning out of everything that we consume. And so when you don't have a place to put it, you try to make meaning out of it. And sometimes you don't have the right tools, you make the incorrect meaning. It doesn't mean what it was supposed
Mm-hmm.
to mean. It doesn't land
Yep.
where it was supposed to land. It doesn't do what it was supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And while my mother will be able to say a
Mm-hmm.
thing and probably move on from it and don't have no recollection, to any adults out there who still holding your parents hostage to what they did when you was a kid, they probably just said the thing and moved on. They ain't thought no more about it. And you asking them, you don't remember when? They're like,
Mm-hmm.
no, I truly don't. But you embodied what was
Mm-hmm.
said.
Holding
It's
on
stuck
to
in
it.
you, right? And they done moved on. They ain't thought nothing else of it. And so give them some grace, because they are also not
Yes.
responsible for how you process what you did. They did,
Mm-hmm.
they said what they said and they moved on, and so we have to take
Mm-hmm.
some time with ourselves, because that voice becomes the soundtrack of our lives. When we go to apply for that job, when we go
Mm-hmm.
to apply to that university, when we go to whatever it is, to try a new hobby, try a new thing, our minds,
Mm-hmm.
there's a tape that's playing in our head from our childhood. It could be mama, it could be daddy, it could be grandma, it could be
Mm-hmm.
that kid on the playground, it could be, it could also be great things like your pastors and saying positive
Mm-hmm.
things, your church family. My church family, if it was not
Yep.
for Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church, 3715 Butternut Street, East Chicago, Indiana, I don't know who I would be. Okay. I don't know my mother and my grandmother, they kept me in church. I don't know who I would be without that environment. They pushed, they encouraged, they strengthened. It didn't matter what I did. If it was terrible, if it was good, they, they was going,
Applaud you.
they,
Don't you just
I
love
love
church
it so
people?
much. That's all right, baby. That was good. You did a good job. you know. And so I appreciate it, all of those things. And my mother, I'm not trying to throw my mother under the bus, y'all. Let me just be clear.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. No,
we're
I
dealing with
understand. Yeah.
our inner child all the time, in everyday life, in everyday decisions. We are dealing that child is still there. They're still talking. They still have an experience. So my question for you is, what
Mm-hmm.
are some signs that someone's inner child may still be carrying wounds that need to be healed?
So sometimes something may have happened to someone at a
Mm-hmm.
certain age, and they're kind of stuck at that age where that happened. So even though they are 45 years old, that 15-year-old is still there. That wounded 15-year-old shows up at
Yep.
45. If you've never addressed whatever happened at 15, it's going to show up in that 45-year-old. It's going to show up in
Mm-hmm.
relationships. It's going to show up in your own personal families. It's going to show up in how you react to certain situations that
Mm-hmm.
may occur in
Mm-hmm.
your life. It may show up and it may show up in church when you don't want it to
Mm-hmm.
show up. It can show up anywhere. Show yourself grace. You mentioned that your mom was stressed, as you were growing up. And that's a lot of our parents. Our parents, it's stressful being a parent, trying to make sure that we're taking care of the household, we're able to pay the bills, we're making sure that we can provide a roof over our child's head, and make sure they're fed and they're dressed properly and they know how to, their behavior and how to act when they go out. They're not embarrassing me when we go to the store. Uh, you know, so, but not all parents are
Right.
not perfect. No one is perfect. Parents are not perfect. So I tell people all the time, my parent, they did this to me when I was 15, and I carried that on. I didn't ever get over, the abandonment, or, my parent yelled at me a lot, and I tell people, parents parent you the best way they
Yeah,
know how. Okay. They parent you the best way they know how. They parent you by a way they probably have modeled off of
that's
their
true.
own parent. You know, they may have seen their own parent do the same thing, which I mentioned before, it's a generational thing. Generationally, they may have parented the same way that their grandparent parented their grandparent. So it's always up to us to change that narrative of what my life is going to be like, how I'm going to parent my child. Learn from mistakes from your parent. Like I said, parents aren't perfect. They make mistakes, and some parents may not know that they're making a mistake because that's all they know as how they
Yeah,
were being parented. So give your parents grace as well as give yourself grace. It's okay. Talk to someone to help you process things. Some people may have deal with parents that had substance abuse issues growing up. We mentioned the undiagnosed mental illness. It may be some parents that grew up that you grew up when your parent had anxiety, had anxiety or depressed and was in the room all the time. You didn't
Yeah.
know why they were always in the room. You just felt like my mama just ignored me all the time. I did what I wanted to do. Well, maybe because mama was depressed, for whatever reason, was going on. She just never knew how to process her
Right.
feelings properly. She never got the help. So just show yourself grace.
Yes, I think that's so important. That last part that you said was so profound, because I can remember, times when my mother, she would get off work, go in her room, shut the door. She won't be bothered. She don't want to be don't want to see you, don't want to hear you, don't want to do. She didn't talk that day. She didn't drove an hour home.
Mhm.
She worked in Chicago that day. Like, she ain't trying to hear it. So she would come in, go in the room, and at
Mhm.
one point, I don't know if we had a conversation about it or what, but she did say, "Listen, when I come home, I need 30 minutes. I need 30 minutes to myself.
Mhm.
I need to not have to. Mama, can you sign?
Yep.
Mama, can you? We got this thing at school. Mama, you want to give up? I need. Mama, I'm hungry. What we gonna eat?
Mhm.
Mm-mm. I don't want to hear nothing. I just want 30 minutes to be able to go in my room and shut the door. And
Yeah.
now I don't have any kids that I've birthed, but I have foster children. And I had a 5 and 7 year old at one point.
And you understand.
And I want you to know, I have you to know, I called Miss Trina. That's my mama. I called Miss Trina so fast. And I said, "Ooh, girl, let me tell you something. I understand what you meant when you said what you said, because I just need a second."
Yeah.
I would wake up some Saturday mornings and be like tiptoeing around my room, hoping that they don't hear me moving. Because if they hear me moving, Miss One Egg, I'm hungry. Miss One Egg, I want Miss One Egg. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of you overstimulated. You get overstimulated just like a
Yeah.
small child gets overstimulated and needs a minute. Parents need
Adult
a minute too. And so we have to really give ourselves the grace to say that
self-care.
again.
That's
Yes, to
self-care.
nurture you. Take the time
Yes, self-care
to
to nurture you.
nurture you.
Absolutely.
And that's
Yes, because I think I said earlier, you can't be a better parent. You can't parent properly if you don't take care of
that's right.
yourself properly.
That's right. You have to take care of you. Take some
Yeah.
time, parents. Sit down.
And it's okay.
Yeah, sit down. Write down yes, some things that you want to do for you, that you want to do for yourself. It's okay
Mhm.
to do that for yourself.
Yeah.
Write down some of what you would do to take care of yourself if you had the money. Because sometimes parents go, I ain't got no money, I can't do that. Let's just dream for
Mhm.
a second on
Go to the dollar store, get you a candle, light it in your bathroom, and just
you
sit
can do
there.
that too. You can do that too.
Just sit there in the quietness of your own
You
domain.
can and you can do that too.
Yes, it is
Do what
okay.
you have to do in
If you want to sit in the bathroom and just
within your budget,
mhm,
whatever that
yeah, if you
is.
want to sit there and just scroll on
Yep.
TikTok, and scroll on TikTok for
Yep.
10 minutes in your quietness.
It's
It's
okay.
okay.
It's okay. I really want parents, adults to hear us saying tonight that I think the thing is what you just said a moment ago. You got to nurture you in order to be able to nurture
Mhm,
your children well. You have to be as they
mhm,
say, what a well-watered woman. If you want to be able to water your children and tend to their
mhm,
soil, you have to be well. You have to be well, and then not just for your children,
mhm.
first for you. You have to be well for you.
Yeah.
When you wake up in the morning, you got to be well. You got to be well with you. And then the people connected to you can benefit from your overflow. We have a saying
Mhm,
within our friend group that's like, so that you don't have to tip the cup. They just dealing, they receiving from you from your overflow. So you don't have to tip the what's in the cup is for
mhm.
you. So you need to make sure that you're being watered so that when it overflows, it touches everybody that's
Mhm.
connected to you. And
Well,
so
yes. Yes,
being
that's
able
good.
to we talked about why it's important to nurture your children. We talked about a few signs and symptoms of what it looks like when your children might be dealing with some ADHD or anxiety or depression. We talked a little bit about that. Miss Francesca is going
Mm-hmm.
to be at the Nurture You Summit, and she's going to talk a whole lot more about signs and symptoms of your children that may be dealing with any type of illness or just struggling in their behavior in any way, shape, or form. She's going to be there to be able to share more and more about what that can look like. What can you do at home? How do you notice it? How do you address it? All of those things. And then she's going to flip the script and she's going to talk to us about us and how it is that we are to take care of ourselves so that we can help to take care of others. Miss Francesca, I can't tell you how much tonight was needed. I cannot tell you. I believe that somebody tonight was listening and they got something out of it. I believe the people that are watching, there's at least 7 of y'all that's watching right now. So if you got something out of tonight, can you just get in the chat real fast and just tell us you got something out of it? Tell us that you were blessed by Miss Francesca. Tell us anything about tonight that really blessed you. We want to know about it. We want to know how else we can best serve you guys, even as we get up to the Nurture You Summit. Miss Francesca, I admire the fact that you are doing the hard work in Gary, Indiana. You are doing the hard work, boots on the ground, doing the hard work. You, your team, whatever it is, whoever is walking beside you, whether it's just the Holy Ghost or if it's a group of y'all, you guys are doing worthy work.
It's the Holy Spirit, and I have an amazing team of therapists that work with me. They all have over 20 years of experience as well working with families. They whatever I ask them, and I just love them for it. They just like, whatever you need, girl, we got you. We got your back. You already know whatever it is, we got you. And I just love them for them. They are just amazing group of
Yes,
people.
y'all are doing the hard work. Y'all are doing the hard work. It is not every day that you find organizations who say, we want to help you wherever you are. We want to meet you wherever you are. And we want to find ourselves available to you all. How, at whatever time of day or night that you need support, we want to support you. And
Mm-hmm.
the fact that you have, support services in the title of your business name and you're actually living up to it is something that
Yeah,
is to be praised. It's something to be acknowledged. And so thank
yeah.
you. If you haven't heard it in a while, thank
Thank
you so
you.
much for what it is that you're doing in Gary, Indiana. Thank you to your team. Thank you to the therapist. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all the work that you guys are doing in Lake County, not just Gary, but to Lake County. We're grateful
Yeah,
for what you have, whether you live in East Chicago, Hammond, Maryville, all those cities that we just, in Lake County,
surrounding cities.
they are
Yes.
able to support you.
Yes.
If you are a school counselor, if you are a dean, if you are whatever, a principal, assistant principal, a school social worker, you want to connect with Miss Francesca because they're going to be your support in your school systems. And it sounds like she
Yeah.
has the tools to make your school a better place, make the students in your school feel supported, cared for. And if you are single, if you are just a woman out there and need some support, I ain't got no kids, I need support. Sounds like they are available to you
Yeah.
to be able to guide you in the direction
Yeah.
that you need to go for you to have a better life as well. So
Yes.
go ahead.
Yes.
We're gonna say something.
No, I was just gonna say, it's just not for females
Okay.
too, men as well. Men, do not be ashamed to come out and, say, hey, I need to talk to somebody too, because, when I was growing up, I was
Yeah.
always in trouble. I ain't trying to be like that no
Yeah.
more. You know what I'm saying? Um, so men, it's
Yeah.
okay. Listen, we talk to you too.
Yeah.
We talk to you too.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Men need it. Somebody asked not too long ago or said they can't wait till we do Nurture You Men. And I said, oh boy, here we go.
Uh,
Because men,
but that's gonna be
that's gonna
good.
be
It's gonna be
good.
good because men, they don't always have an outlet because they feel like they have to. They feel like they have to always be strong for the
Right.
family. But men need that outlet as well, because they're
Yeah.
vulnerable. They need to be able to show their vulnerable side.
Yes, that's the truth. I want everybody everywhere in Lake County to hear the name Francheca Ballard, so that and Bright Path Support Services, so that you guys can get connected with her, link up with her team to get the support that you guys need. Again, thank you, Miss Francheca, for being with me tonight.
You're so
Appreciate that.
welcome. Thank you for having me. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it. I can't wait
It's
to the
gonna be
summit.
so good. So listen, y'all, if you haven't got your tickets already, we want you to go ahead and go now to the nurtureyousummit.eventbrite.com and order your ticket to get registered for the Nurture You Summit. It's only $35, and that includes your breakfast, your lunch, your conference materials, the ability to sit in the room and hear from 6 qualified professionals to hear what it is that is available to you in your area, but also get you the tools that you need to be able to walk this life out. And then the space from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. to begin to unpack, undo, become undone in the presence of God, in the presence of other women who are there to cover you, to surround you, to love you, to pour into you for just you for this time. Know that we are praying for you. We have been preparing for you. And when you get in the room, I promise you, you're going to be so glad you did. You're going to leave feeling nurtured, feeling taken care of. Um, and between now and then, I want you to go look up the word nurtured and just feast on the definition for a while and allow that definition to minister to you. And that'll tell you exactly what's getting ready to happen when we get in the room. So I want to pray tonight for each of you, and then we're going to end this. And this is our last live, I believe, before the Nurture You Summit next Saturday. Whew, can you believe that it is next Saturday?
It's here. It's
Goodness
here.
gracious. Oh, Holy Spirit, we thank you for tonight. We thank you for what our hearts have felt tonight, what our ears have heard. Father, would you allow everything that we've heard tonight to penetrate our being? Help us to forgive ourselves. Help us to forgive our parents. Help us to forgive our caregivers. Help us to release some of the things that we may have been holding so tightly to, in any definitions that we've been holding on so tightly to about our own personality, or anything that we may have been dealing with, things that may have gone overlooked as a child, but you heard it, they heard it tonight, God, and they are saying, I need to be healed. I want this thing to be redefined for me. I want to see my trauma differently. I want to see the circumstances differently. I want to experience life with the volume turned down from the negative things from my childhood, but that I'm able to build emotional intelligence and resilience to be able to carry out this thing called life that you've called me to carry out. Father, tonight I pray that you would seal the healing that you've initiated, seal what's already been done. May we be able to just digest and ruminate on your goodness, on what you've initiated in us. And God, if there's something painful that's coming up for your sons and your daughters that are listening tonight, I pray in the name of Jesus, God, that you would remind them of your nearness, remind us of your closeness, that as we process and as we deal and as we see these things coming to the surface, Father, that we can cast our cares on you because you care for us. Tonight, I pray in the name of Jesus that no weapon formed against your sons and daughters will be able to prosper. But God, the information that they've received will not be used. They won't use it as a weapon on themselves or their parents, but they will be able to sit with it and learn that there are resources out there to help them continue to unpack and heal the things that they have been dealing with in their life. Father, I thank you for Miss Francheca, and I pray tonight that you would strengthen her where she's weak, build her up where she's torn down. Thank you for Bright Paths. I pray in the name of Jesus that you would cover that organization, that you would cover that business, cover that practice. God, would you strengthen every single clinician in the name of Jesus, that they may be able to go on strong, go on with clarity, go on with insight and foresight. God, I thank you for expansion for Bright Paths. I thank you for expansion, oh God, in the name of Jesus, that as they begin to do the work, what you call them to do, with what you've given them right now in their hands, that as they're faithful over this time and faithful over what you've given them, that you'll make them ruler over many, and that you'll expand their capacity and expand their territory. Would you bless them as only you can? We thank you, Jesus. We love you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Thank you, Miss
Amen.
Francesca. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you for having me again. I
Absolutely. And
enjoyed
thank you
it.
guys for joining in tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Go register. nurtureyousummit.eventbrite.com. Go register, get your tickets. Ask somebody if they want to come, bring them. And allow them to be in the room with you to get this information. We love y'all, and we will see y'all on March 22nd. Have a good night.
See you on the 22nd.